And it's a breaking story we've been following all morning. Brian Thompson, the CEO of UnitedHealthcare, fatally shot in Midtown Manhattan this morning in what officials are calling a targeted attack. A manhunt currently underway.
The shooter steps onto the sidewalk from behind the car. He ignores numerous other pedestrians, approaches the victim from behind, and shoots him in the back. The motive for this murder currently is unknown, but based on the evidence we have so far, it does appear that the victim was specifically targeted. But at this point, we do not know why. This does not appear to be a random act of violence.
And that's where we'll start with Jon Levine, New York Post editorial reporter. So this was news that rocked Wall Street this morning, and it's certainly shaken up New York City, too. On a day like today, we're going to have a tree lighting tonight, 1 million people going to Rockefeller Center. You wake up and read this headline that this person was targeted and gunned down, but killed, fatal. It doesn't leave a good taste in the mouth of New Yorkers who are traveling along the streets today as a manhunt is underway.
Rockefeller Center is only maybe 100 meters away from where this murder took place, and the killer is still at large running around, not far from where we're sitting right now. So it's very, very scary. And this was not, as he said, it was not a random act of violence. It was not a mugging. It was a premeditated murder. It appears to be a targeted assassination, like something we saw in New York of the bad old days of the mob, you know, when you had the mafia killings all over the place. So, you know, it's the Wild West out there now, and it just shows you, like, we have to really, you know, rein in what's going on here and get to the bottom of it.
There's interesting technology angle to this, too. I mean, they're talking about how you can fly drones over Central Park, if that's where he was last seen. The e-bike is an interesting story because you have to use your credit card to get in an e-bike. And in the press conference, the NYPD said that they are working with the company who owns that bike to get GPS tracking location. So there's also interesting technology angles in this.
We have never had a more formidable NYPD, a better NYPD, a more capable NYPD to solve these kinds of crimes. As you say, there's all these technical innovations that didn't even exist 10 or 15 years ago. So it's been about 6 hours and he's still on the loose.
All the CCTV.
Yeah, exactly. Cameras are everywhere. So I hope we can get to the bottom of it quickly, hopefully before the tree lighting.
You do have an NYPD, though, that is dealing with much more migrant chaos in this city than they ever have before. Now, I don't know if that will impede them in this case, but certainly Mayor Adams is saying enough with the chaos, enough with the migrant crime. He seems to be kind of doing a major shift. Listen to what he had to say.
Those who are here committing crimes, robberies, shooting at police officers, raping innocent people, have been a harm to our country. I would love to sit down with the Board of Czar and hear his thoughts on how we're going to address those who are harming our citizens. Cancel me, because I'm going to protect the people of this city.
What do you think about this new kind of cancel me phase of the Adams regime here?
Well, look, a lot of mayors and governors right now are promising not to cooperate with mass deportations and with the Trump administration. But Adams is promising to sort of be open to it. And I think we have to remember that he's currently under federal indictment right now. And that is something that President Trump could make a lot better for him with clemency or commutation or what have you. And President Trump does issue pardons to people. He has a history of doing it. And I think he kind of has Mayor Adams over a barrel. Because if Mayor Adams wants to be considered for commutations or leniency, he better cooperate with the new administration. And I think he knows that, and I think Trump knows that.
And it looks like he is. A lot of people saying they don't really care why he's cooperating, but they want him to clean up the city and do what's right for New Yorkers, especially people paying taxes here. But speaking about all of us who pay taxes here, who also ride the subway, waiting on a Daniel Penny verdict. Many say that if they find him guilty, nobody will help anybody on the subways or the streets anymore.
I mean, what essentially they are doing is criminalizing the right of self-defense. If you see someone in danger, you're just as likely to end up in jail as the perpetrator if you try to help. So I really do worry if they send Penny to prison for 15 years, 20 years. It's going to be wild here. They're training us and they're forcing us to just look the other way when we see wrongdoing. And it's sad and it's terrible and it's very dangerous.
You mentioned an interesting comment, though, of what Mayor Eric Adams has been saying, that the jury may have heard. Tell us what those comments were about Eric Adams maybe sort of defending Penny.
So yesterday, Mayor Adams came out and, basically defended Daniel Penny. I don't think he specifically called for an acquittal, but he came out very strongly for Daniel Penny. And the jury is not sequestered. So it's likely that they have probably now seen that. So, that may influence their decisions. We don't know. But it's ongoing. And I think the evidence suggests that he should be found not guilty. But we all ride subways. But you can never trust a New York City jury. And I do wonder who's going to be the Henry Fonda, in that courtroom to really, take it the home stretch.
It does feel like a watershed case. To live in a city like New York at some level, even in the best of times, you have to rely on your fellow citizens to step in. I mean, as a dad whose kids are around the city, I pray every day that there's people on the subway who are keeping an eye on the kids traveling there, and if something happened, would be willing, without a second thought, to jump in and do something. But you look at this and you say, maybe this is the moment where that either rises or falls.
The closing argument to the jury was, when you're alone on a subway, who would you rather get on with you on that subway train? Daniel Penny or Jordan Neely, the perpetrator? Right. And, that's a very easy question.
Very stark way to put it.
Jon, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Good
to see you.